Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Yesterday in Baseball. My name is Luke and we've got a lot on tap for you guys. It is October the 13th. We've got 3 big recaps for you guys as a couple series wrapped up. And that means a couple series are beginning here in these playoffs, so that's fun. We had a thriller Friday night with Detroit and Seattle. Another close one with Milwaukee and Chicago, but Chicago couldn't quite get it done. And then Seattle at Toronto kicked off last night, and that was pretty exciting as well. They shut down the Blue Jays. So lots of fun to cover, and we got tonight's games, player of the day, and a series preview for you guys for these championship series. So without further ado, let's travel out to Seattle and recap Friday's Game 5. So back to Friday now, where Seattle beat the Tigers 3-2 in 15 innings, clinching their spot in the American League Championship Series. The Mariners win up thanks to a sac fly early. Then Kerry Carpenter hit a big go-ahead 2-run shot to make it 2-1 Detroit. Skubal was lights out as he became the first pitcher in postseason history to have multiple 13-plus strikeout outings. And birthday boy for Seattle, Leo Rivas, had a huge RBI single in the bottom of the 7th to make it all tied again at 2-2. But there was no more scoring for the next 7 innings as both teams emptied their bullpens using starters left and right, trying to escape jams. But Jorge Polanco put an end to this one as he roped a single to right with the bases loaded, walking it off 3-2, concluding the longest winner-takes-all game ever, punching Seattle's ticket to the ALCS for the first time in 24 years. On to Saturday with Milwaukee and Chicago. The Cubs couldn't quite get it done as Milwaukee won 3-1, advancing on to the NLCS. Contreras continued the first inning scoring trend as he put up a homer in the bottom of the first to make it 1-0. Seiya Suzuki answered right back, hitting a solo shot in the top of the second to tie it up. And then from there it was all Brewers as Andrew Vaughn hit a homer in the fourth. They go up 2-1, and then Bryce Terang hit one in the bottom of the seventh, adding some insurance, making it 3-1. The Brewers leaned into that first inning scoring trend as they brought in closer McGill in the first inning in this one to shut down the Cubs offense. And then Mizorowski came out of the bullpen and threw 4 solid innings. For the second time of this series, though, the Brewers, who are not a power team, won by scoring all of their runs courtesy of a homer that helped them move on to the National League Championship Series. Now as we recap Sunday's game, Seattle at Toronto for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Cal Raleigh and the Mariners got the win 3-1 and go up 1-0. The party got started early as the Mariners had a big chance, but a good defensive play from Addison Barger cut down Raleigh at home, stopping their threat in the first inning. They continued on that momentum as George Springer hit a leadoff homer to make it 1-0 Toronto. Bryce Miller had a great outing, going 6 innings, only giving up 1 run and 2 hits. One of the best and hottest offenses out there, he was able to just shut down. Things remained quiet until the top of the 6th when Cal Raleigh smashed a homer to right field, tying it up 1-1. After that, in that same inning, Julio walked and advanced on a wild pitch and got knocked in by Jorge Polanco on an RBI single, making it 2-1 Seattle. It was a battle of the bullpens for a while to the top of the 8th when a pair of walks and then a double set up a Jorge Polanco again as he had another RBI single, cashing in, making it 3-1. Andres Munoz came in for the save and capped off a 3-1 Mariners victory in Game 1. They shut down the Jays' offense to just 1 run on 2 hits, and 3 hitless innings from Seattle's bullpen. Seattle again go up 1-0 in this series and play Game 2 tonight. I know we're 1 game in, but never too late for a quick ALCS series preview. We'll start off with Seattle. The pitching has been a big plus for them so far in these playoffs. Both starting pitching and relief pitching are capable of shutting down that Blue Jays offense. Look for that. The offense has been consistently putting up runs. Never a ton of runs, but you haven't really seen them get shut out. They're just putting up 3 to 4 consistently every time. We'll see if Toronto tries to outpace them. And their keys, they just need to let their starters cook. Those good appearances really let you do less on offense. They don't need to do as much, and they can just trust that their guys are going to put up 3 to 4. So just a solid outing, 6 innings, 1-2 earned runs is more than enough for the Seattle team. And just create chaos on the base paths. Toronto doesn't really have that skill. Seattle, you saw it in Game 5 with Naylor. He was stealing third base on Skubal, and he stole 30 bags on the year. So just kind of keep doing your thing, create chaos, and make them play the game. Then on Toronto, They're not as strong as the pitching front as Seattle are, but they've one of the most solid defenses in baseball and a top 5 offense throughout the year, and it's continued in the postseason. They've looked incredible against the Yankees. Shut down last night, but still been very good. The keys for them: put up runs early and often, and just simply try to win thanks to your offense. That's going to be huge for them. Now on to the National League Championship Series with the Milwaukee Brewers, who are on paper one of the most well-rounded teams in baseball across 162 thanks to their consistency and fundamentals. After watching them in the DS, I'd say that those numbers on paper passed the eye test. The one area where they were lacking over the course of the season, though, turned out to be a big advantage for them as they got the long ball working with 8 homers so far in the division series. And, the same as always for their keys: beat them in the little aspects of the game with the fundamentals. Let the offense come around later and just limit the damage early. You don't want to get into another series where you're giving up a ton of runs early on in that first inning. Just hopefully you can shut down. LA has a great offense, so they just need to keep it close, and I think that they could get it done. On the LA side, though, it's much of the same as it was before. Solid starting pitching, shaky relief pitching, though. They've seen more success since rolling out some of the starters into the bullpen, and that's worked well for them. But, with a long lineup like that, they can get it done with anyone, so just limit the damage pitching-wise and trust that you've got guys 1 through 9 who are all capable of hitting big homers, getting the line moving, all that. So they're not as fundamentally sound. They have less ways to win as the Brewers. But yeah, just look for them to kind of outslug and ride their offense to victory. Lean on your starting pitchers and expect that you'll have enough offense to get the job done. So those are our previews for the championship series. Looking forward to those games tonight. Speaking of games tonight, we lead off the action with Game 2, the ALCS at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, between Seattle and Toronto. Logan Gilbert versus Trey Savage. In one start versus Toronto this year, Gilbert has gone 4.2, giving up 2 runs on 7 hits and striking out 9. And Trey Savage hasn't faced Seattle before, but so far in his one postseason start, he went 5.1 hitless and scoreless innings, striking out a franchise record 11 in the postseason, giving up just 1 walk. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific, we have the Dodgers and the Brewers. Blake Snell's on the mound. He has a limited sample size against the Brewers, but is 1-2 with a 5.79 ERA versus them. And the Brewers are TBD on their starter. Could be another bullpen game for them. A couple of big games. Again, home field advantage for Milwaukee and Toronto. Last one for Toronto before they head back to Seattle for 3. So should be interesting and a big game for Toronto if they want to keep hanging along in this series. Now let's wrap things up with our player of the day from the weekend. We had a lot of big games, a lot of important games, but Jorge Polanco was the guy for Seattle. He had that huge walk-off hit on Friday, helping them clinch their ALCS berth with that 15-inning thriller. And then he did it again on Sunday, knocking in 2 of the 3 RBI as they won by 2 in Game 1 of the ALCS. He had a couple of hits, a couple of RBI singles, knocking in those runs. So he's just been big, kind of an unexpected force in the middle of the order, but he's been getting it done. He's looked the part, and he had the 2 big homers off of Skubal in Game 1 of the DS, that big moment in Game 5, and now already off to a good start in the championship series. So that's why he's our player of the day for Sunday and the weekend. That's everything from Monday's show. Thank you guys so much for listening along. It was a fun weekend of baseball. That Game 5 was one of the best postseason games I've watched in a long time. Just seeing all the chess moves out of the bullpen and all that was really fun. And, had that big game last night. That was pretty fun. So looking forward to the 2 more tonight, as a couple of double baseball days are ahead of us with these championship series. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever if you're enjoying this. I would really appreciate that. And hope to see you guys again on Tuesday for tomorrow's show. Thank you, and have a good one.